Cthulhu Jack.
First there was Dr. Frankenstein, then there was Dr. Herbert West, now there is Dr. Peyton Westlake. I wanted to begin March with Sam Raimi's 1990 not-comic book adaptation of a pulp character created from the mind of the squirrely suit and tie-wearing director who also brought us The Evil Dead to Spider-Man, and one of my all-time favorite films, Darkman. Only a few years from this Evil Dead 2 fame, and before Army of Darkness, this Phantom of the Opera meets the shadow creation from Raimi was everything this young Cthulhu god needed at the time. I even still have my Who is Darkman button. That was all the rage, wearing it on opening day, pinned to my dark cloak as I ventured into the theater with all the other Raimi heads. So let's swing back to 1990, when pseudoscience aided in creating one of the greatest modern pulp heroes of our time. Darkman, by all accounts from Raimi and cast, seemed to be more or less a pleasant experience, unlike his crime wave picture which almost broke him. In researching this film, I did learn that the editor had a breakdown and left the picture. Post-production sounded like the biggest nightmare due to test screenings. With meddling from the studio botching the film to 88 minutes, Raimi snuck in under the wire with a new cut right before release to deliver the current 1 hour and 36-minute runtime. It paid off, giving us an original take on a trove of universally mowed over previous ideas to give us this insanely fun film. Watching this again for the countless time on the new 4K edition, I highly recommend it. I mean, this is one of the cleanest transfers I've ever seen, and by golly, it's beautiful. Raimi wastes zero time in this movie. Everything moves at the proper speed, and as a director, he really knows how to utilize every moment on screen. Even little prop details, like this random picture of Peyton and Julie on the ground, later to be the piece that reassembles his life back together again. I found myself transported into that theater once again all those 34 years ago, with a big grin and wide eyes taking on all the craftsmanship. Westlake's lab/homestead is the quintessential perfect setup, and later when he's relocated, the warehouse lab set is straight out of something you'd see in a 1930s noir. Raimi is not only a well-versed cinephile and historian of film, but a true lover. There's no doubting that. Even during Peyton's manic episodes where he snaps, the layered imagery really shows the mental break, and as ludicrous as it might look, I buy it. I've always had enormous sympathy for this character, and watching it again, the scene that has the most impact for me is him first approaching his beloved Julie after escaping the hospital. The way Neeson walks, fumbles, and then lumbers off, only to end up falling in the gutter, later sleeping under a cardboard box as the wind and rain pour relentless on him, all very operatic amongst the zany kills and standard bad guy plot device. Robert Durant is one of my all-time favorite baddies. From his Mo Howard haircut to his cigar-snipping finger collection, there is tremendous depth within that character, and he's super bad. I mean, when you're sending grenades into cars to take Darkman down, you're obsessed. Frances McDormand, who plays Julie, Peyton's love interest in this, is fun to watch, and her reaction at the cemetery seeing him in the flesh since the explosion really sells it. She is a natural grounded force amongst all the Looney Tunes. I never gave much thought previous to the main baddie Louis Strack Jr.'s character. Always thought he was kind of a standard issue. But then rewatching this film again, I really enjoyed him, especially at the end when he is a heartless prick and is a great foil for Darkman. With Tony Gardner's Darkman makeup and other practical effects he and his team pulled off for a mere $14 million budget at the time is highly commendable. As a retired makeup effects person myself, even this 4K version, everything holds up with perfection. This wouldn't be a Raimi movie without his best buddy Bruce Campbell. I won't spoil where he pops up. All I have to say is, when I had seen this in the theater back then, everyone went ballistic and cheered.
Groovy.
I guess this wasn't much of a review as a love fest of the film that has always been dear to me and brought many smiles and laughs across this tentacle-riddled face, ever since I figured out who is Darkman. Until next time.
Oh, you've got to be shitting me.
Our first channel watch party double feature will air March 16th, right here on YouTube. So click links below to be notified. Many thanks for the support, and Hail Cthulhu!